Chapter 7, Mishnah 2. This Mishnah discusses how Birkas Kohanim, the priestly blessing, was recited in the temple each day. After saying the morning prayers in the chamber of hewn stone, Chapter 5, Mishnah 1, the Kohanim re-entered the courtyard to complete the Tamid service. 5 of these Kohanim worked inside the Heichal, clearing the inner Mizbeach, preparing the menorah, and offering the incense. Mishnahs Chapter 5, Mishnah 4 through Chapter 6, Mishnah 3. While the remaining Kohanim brought the limbs of the Tamid up to the outer Mizbeach, described in the next Mishnah. After finishing all of these jobs, the Kohanim would gather on the steps of the Ulam in order to recite Birkas Kohanim. All of the Kohanim working in the courtyard now came and stood on the 12 steps in front of the Ulam. When arranging themselves on the steps, the first 5 Kohanim who merited to work inside the Heichal stood to the south of their fellow Kohanim, and there were 5 vessels in their hands. The basket used to clear the ashes from the inner Mizbeach was in the hand of one Kohen, and the jug used to clear the ashes of the leftover oil from the menorah was in the hand of one Kohen, and the shovel used to bring the coals into the Heichal was in the hand of one Kohen, and the spoon that held the incense was in the hand of one Kohen, and the ladle and its cover used to bring the spoon into the Heichal was in the hand of one Kohen. Before bringing Birkas Kohanim, they placed these vessels down onto the floor. After the other Kohanim finished bringing the Tamid's limbs to the Mizbeach, described in the next Mishnah, they joined the first 5 Kohanim on the steps of the Ulam to recite Birkas Kohanim. They blessed the nation with one blessing, the priestly blessing, except that in the rest of the country, i.e. outside the temple, the Kohanim say it as 3 separate blessings, pausing after each of the 3 verses for the people to answer Amen. But in the temple, they said all the verses together as one long blessing, because the practice in the temple was not to answer Amen after blessings. The Mishnah teaches some other differences between how Birkas Kohanim was said in the temple and how it is said outside the temple. In the temple, the Kohanim would say the name of God as it is written, Yud, K, Vav, K. But in the rest of the country, the Kohanim used its alternative, Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud. In the rest of the country, the Kohanim raised their palms with their hands as high as their shoulders. But in the temple, they raised their hands above their heads. Except for the Kohen Gadol, who did not raise his hands higher than the tzitz, the golden band he wore on his forehead. The name of God was written on the tzitz, and it would not be proper for the Kohen Gadol to raise his hands above the name of God. The next Tana disagrees. Rabbi Yehuda says, even the Kohen Gadol raises his hands above his head, higher than the tzitz, for as it is stated in Vayikra chapter 9, verse 22, Aaron raised his hands toward the people and blessed them.